Welcome to the first episode of Damage Control. I am your host, Desmond Jones. Finally got a chance to sit down and film this episode so that I can upload it on the YouTube channel. If you are not subscribed to my YouTube channel, go to Damage Control with Desmond Jones. Have somebody else go to the Facebook page and like the Facebook page. You can also hit the subscribe button right on the screen. Also, turn on your post notifications. Just getting the housekeeping out of the way. Got a good one for you. I want to talk about an acronym today that I use with a lot of my clients, a lot of my couples that I coach. Whether they are dating, engaged, or married, this has worked primarily with couples who are going through transitional periods, difficulties that they're facing in their relationship. And so I use this acronym both literally and in theory with them, just to give them some pointers and some tips to help guide them through those periods. And so wanted to share those with you today. So I'm going to go through those. I'll talk about what each one of them means. I will also talk about how they are applicable. I'll give you some definitions because one of my things that I like to do, and one of the things I like to do is educate and talk about serious issues because my clients know they're not the rich and famous. They don't all make over six figures. Some of them are regular, ordinary people. But what I have found and what I have learned is that we all have troubles in our relationships, whether you are a multi-billionaire or whether you make $25,000 a year. If you're in a relationship, you're going to hit some rocky places. You're going to have some troublesome times and some turbulence somewhere along the way. And so here's the acronym. The acronym is ROUT. R-O-U-T. It is an actual word that you can look up in the Webster's Dictionary, and it has two meanings. You can use it as a noun and you can use it as a verb. I normally in my sessions use it as a verb because I like to provoke my clients to action. I like to challenge them to take charge of their relationship and to put in and do the work, because only through doing the work can you begin to put the pieces back together, to build something strong, and to move and run forward in a healthy manner and in a healthy way, because relationships have to be healthy in order for them to survive. So it's defined as a noun, and it means a state of wild confusion, a debacle, so to speak, something that is just out of order. However, it can also be used as a verb, which means to defeat decisively. We normally use this term in sports when a team is being blown out by another team. We would say that team got routed. In other words, they got beat decisively, without question. And so what I often try to get my clients, my couples to know and learn is that you can decisively defeat the chaos and the confusion that sometimes happens in relationships. And so we use these four things. ROUT, R-O-U-T. Here's the first one. Be realistic. I tell all of my couples, be realistic. Set realistic goals. Be realistic about the state of affairs and about the state that your relationship is in. There is nothing worse. I often tell my clients, you can lie to me all day long. What you can't do is lie to yourself and lie about what you're dealing with. Because when I leave, you have to go back to dealing with it. So it's best to be realistic in session. It's best to be real in session. One of my favorite quotes, I forget who said it. I'll look it up, drop it in the description below, or drop it in the comment section below, is to thine own self be true. There's nothing worse than not being true to yourself. There's nothing worse than not being true to who you are and where you are. So be realistic. I do it in three ways. Be realistic about yourself. Some people have a proclivity and a tendency to think it's all the other person. I do everything I can to please the other person. I do everything I can to make sure they're happy, even at the expense of my own happiness. And one thing I've learned in my over 10 years of coaching couples is that that is rarely the case. So be realistic about yourself. Be realistic about who you are. Be realistic about the good, the bad, and the ugly concerning you. We all have some good, some bad, and some ugly. Be realistic about what you want. Know what you want. A lot of times people get in relationships and they don't know what they want out of the relationship. They don't know what they want from other people. Sometimes you don't even know what you want for yourself or in yourself or out of yourself for that matter. So be realistic about what you want. Be realistic about what you can bring to the table. Again, that goes back to being realistic about yourself. Be realistic about whether the other person can provide what you need. There's nothing worse than dating somebody for years and realizing that at the end of 3, 4, 5, however many years, that they cannot provide what you need. There's a difference between want and need. That's why I separated them. Be realistic about what you want and be realistic about whether the other person can provide what you need. I often use the book, The 5 Love Languages. That's one of my favorite reads. I often recommend it to my couples while we are in session. I recommend that they read it because it speaks about everyone's love language. We all like to be loved differently, and that person has to be able to provide that level of love for you. If you are somebody you like gifts, then you got to get with somebody who is willing to buy you gifts and not so stingy that they're not willing to do anything small or thoughtful for you. So be realistic about yourself. Be realistic about what you want. Be realistic about whether the person can provide what you need. And if you are not getting what you need, watch this. Be honest enough to tell the person you are with that, hey, I'm not getting what I need. It's about being realistic. The whole thing goes back to being real. Stop faking happy if you know you're not happy. Be realistic. Here's the second thing. Be optimistic. Optimism is feeling or showing hope for the future. If you know that you have come out of some bad relationships, it is incumbent upon you, it is paramount, it is imperative that you have some level of optimism. Don't go into the next relationship thinking it's going to be more of the same. Don't go in with bad faith. Don't go in thinking that this person can very well do to me what the last person did. They are not the same. If you are in a relationship and things are not going as well during this stretch of time or during that stretch of time, have hope that things can get better. Don't always allow your negative sentiment override. Look it up. Google will tell you exactly what that means. I'm going to do a show on it later on down the line, so you will hear more about that. Negative sentiment override. That means that you have experienced so much negativity that anything positive is overrun and taken over by the negative sentiments you have based on the experiences that you've had. So have a sense of optimism, hope for the future, hope that things can change, hope that things can get better. You want to have some level of optimism. Now, you got to be careful not to have too much, because some people have so much optimism that they become delusional and detached from reality. It's one thing to have a healthy level of optimism that says, hey, things can change, versus having sat in a situation or relationship and it hasn't changed for years and you're still hopeful that it's going to change. Chances are it's not going to happen. But nonetheless, being optimistic and having a level of optimism and hope that things can get better will give you the power and the energy and the drive to keep moving forward and to keep working at it. Here's the third thing. Having sense of an urgency. Urgency, okay? Urgency is the key. What does that mean? That is a call for immediate action. When something is urgent, it means that you need to be moving right away. Give it your undivided attention. Don't wait. Don't procrastinate. handle it right then and there. Here's an example I always use. If you fell and broke a bone, are you going to wait to go to the emergency room? No. No, chances are you're not. If you cut your hand, cut your finger, cut your leg, no matter what medical emergency it is, you're going to handle it urgently. Have a level of urgency when it comes to your relationship. Be in a constant state of urgency. That's awareness. That's immediate action. Hey, how can our relationship be better? How can things grow? How can we grow together? How can we set some realistic goals that we can accomplish as a couple? If things are going bad, this is critical. If the person that you are dating or you're married to or engaged to, if they are telling you that they have a concern, that is them sounding the alarm that, hey, this needs to be handled urgently and quickly. This is something that we have to work on. So when it comes to your relationship, have a sense of urgency, especially if you're going through some troublesome and some difficult and turbulent times. You want to have a sense of urgency. Here's the last piece. Trust. Anybody will tell you, any relationship is built on trust. You have to have a level of trust. Trust is an assured reliance on someone or something. In my sessions, I always give this an example. Because I have a culinary background, or if you just want to be technically correct, a culinary background. Because I have that cooking background, I love restaurants. I like to go visit them. I like to go eat at restaurants. I enjoy the atmosphere of certain restaurants. Atmosphere is everything to me. Atmosphere is almost as important as the food, but I digress. Trust. When we go into a restaurant, most of us sit in the chairs without ever testing them. Most of us sit in the chairs without ever testing them. Sometimes we sit down and we don't ever look to see if they have been cleaned from debris, such as some type of liquid, especially those that have color to them, like juices and sodas and pops or whatever you want to call it. Some of us don't wait and we don't look to make sure that any food that might have been left or spilled from the previous party has been properly cleaned. And sometimes it has been cleaned. But if you've ever taken the time to examine your chair at a restaurant, sometimes when the waiter or the busser cleans the chair, they wipe it with a wet towel and it is still wet prior to sitting. But a lot of times we don't check the sturdiness of it. We are assured and we rely on the chair being able to do its job. Why don't we do that with our relationships? Why don't we have an assured reliance that the man is going to be the man, the woman is going to be the woman. They know their role, they know what comes with it, they know the responsibilities. Why can't we give them a small measure of trust that they're going to do what we know they are supposed to do, okay? So again, the acronym for this episode is ROUT, R-O-U-T. Be realistic, be optimistic, have a sense of urgency, and learn how to trust. Especially if it's a new relationship. All because you went through some things in previous relationships does not mean the person you are dating now or entertaining now is going to create that same level of mistrust and distrust in the relationship. So have a level of trust, a assured reliance that they are going to be exactly who they told you they are, okay? So again, I am so excited about this first episode. I hope you can hear it in my voice. That's what I'm trying to get across to you today. Probably shouldn't need to tell you that, but I told you that anyway. Do me a favor, like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share the video on your social media platforms, especially if you think these tips can help somebody else. Help me get the word out. I'm on the road to 1,000 subscribers. I got to get 100 first, but I'm on the road to at least 1,000. My ultimate goal is to hit somewhere around 1 million in the first year. This is June. By June of next year, I want to have 1 million subscribers. Help me get there by liking the video, sharing the video, subscribe to the channel, and also turn on the notification bell. Just hit the bell so that anytime I upload a video or when I go live, because I do plan to go live, once I hit about 100 so subscribers, I'm going to start doing live videos, live Q&As. I'm even going to do some live interviews here on the channel. So you want to be notified anytime that's happening. I got some good interviews that I want to do. My team and I have already planned some stuff, and so we want you to be a part. But again, thank you for joining this episode of Damage Control with Desmond Jones. See you next week as we upload our episodic videos every Wednesday is what I'm aiming for. They might come on Thursdays. Wednesday's the goal. I will be uploading different things throughout the week. So again, you want to have that notification on. But again, thank you. Welcome. Episode number 1 is a wrap. Peace.